I just saying, again, thank you so much for being here. Years ago, we did a lot of these events, and I was having some nostalgia because 11 years ago, we were in this exact same room, and it was quite a tour. I did 19 events over 11 cities in 5 weeks. So we went all across Canada and into the U.S., and that was kind of at the near beginning of promoting our Mexico life. And today, I can honestly say I am living the Mexican dream. Today, I'm going to tell you how I came to doing that, how you can do it as well, and feature what I believe to be the top emerging markets in Mexico. So you guys can hear me okay in the back? Volume's good? Great. So the Mexican dream, you've hopefully met my wife, Erin, already. If not, please say hello to her. I cannot thank her enough for her support over the years and in what originally started as my dream, and thankfully she believed it in too. Basically, this all started from us as one vacation. In 1995, Erin and I took a trip to Mazatlan. We were high school sweethearts, and we took a trip, and that vacation turned into multiple vacations and eventually a dream of being in Mexico. We started to become more serious about it and set some goals down, wrote down a plan, and we ultimately turned that into a reality. So now I like to say we are living the Mexican dream. So before I go any further, I just want to make sure everybody understands basically our two platforms and businesses. We have Mexico Living. Basically, Mexico Living is kind of a show and tell of Erin and my life as we experience an adventure through Mexico. We like to share what we do and share with people like yourselves. I have, if you have not taken it before, a How to Buy Property in Mexico master class, which we can definitely send out to you after this if you'd like to take it. We're not quite going through that today. We have a whole section called the How to Live in Mexico guide. So we have over 500 blogs on our website, vlogs, which really help you get through the process, little things, maybe little frustrations you have in your mind, uncertainties, and we try and answer all those questions in the forms of blogs and videos. We have an investors club, and basically these 4 locations you see around me, we have an investor club for each of those. Basically, the investor club is for someone that's gotten to be a little bit more serious and they want to learn about the market more. We send you every new real estate listing we have in that area. The thing I really love is pre-construction. We allow our investors to buy in early. I negotiate a certain amount of units within a development with a developer that I call are better than pre-construction prices, and we pass those on to our investor club. So you have a chance on the sales launch day to buy into a development at better than pre-construction prices. We also give updates through our investor club of the process of construction through the developments, and of course other things like other promotions, price reductions, and so on. But basically, Mexico Living is an educational system, lots of complementary information and training. We have blogs and YouTube videos to support that. Now, Bayside Real Estate is our local on-the-ground brokerage. So we are full-service real estate solutions. For buyers like yourselves, we offer full disclosure buyer representation, residential and commercial real estate. We also stay on with you after if you want to rent your property out. We have a vacation rental management service, but it goes beyond that. We even offer a full concierge. So, and then also property management. So I'm just going to say this might even sound silly for me to say this, but I don't really look at our vacation rental management or our property management as money-making businesses. They're actually businesses that support our sales business. And what I mean by that is, like, in our vacation rental business, we have concierge. So you come down and rent with us. We'll help you book a restaurant. We'll help you book a fishing tour. We'll help you book a waterfall tour. For the owners, full concierge to them. Anytime they need something, we respond, and we really offer a level of service that you'd find in a boutique hotel, but we're doing that in your rental accommodation. And because what that does for us, you come down and have a good time. You're like, wow, look at how these guys have taken care of us. Look at how they manage this property. We can own a property and they can take care of us like that as well. We can also show you the numbers of, hey, this is how much this property is rented out. So for us, that's very important. The level of service we give to our people, I think it's right up here. So that's our full real estate services brokerage, Bayside Real Estate. So back to Aaron and I and a little bit about our story. Aaron and I were high school sweethearts. I think that top picture was from my brother's wedding. We're 18 years old right there. So we've definitely, know how to support each other. And through all these years of ups and downs, we both grew up in Western Canada in the province of Saskatchewan, actually. And at a very young age, I developed a passion for building, for construction, and for real estate. I invested into my first real estate property at 20 years old. And later on, I started up a construction-related business. It was actually a custom home plumbing and heating company. During this time, we also started discovering Mexico. So as I mentioned earlier, we took our first trip to Mazatlan, Mexico, actually. So it's a bit of something special now that we're doing business in Mazatlan again. So 1995, we went to Mexico. We were young. We were 19. It was a party trip. We swam in the ocean. We tasted authentic Mexican seafood. And if you haven't been to Mazatlan, their seafood is amazing. You definitely got to try it. We experienced a new culture. Of course, I knew what Corona was, but I also learned about some other good beers like Pacifico and Dos Equis. So great first experience. But from there, we made a pact and we kept going back. Now, back in Canada, at 20 years old, I inherited 5,000 Canadian dollars from my grandmother who passed away. And I thought, hey, what the heck? Maybe I'll put this in real estate. Thank goodness I didn't spend it all partying. And we bought our first property where I did $95,000, 20 years old. But it's really what got me hooked on real estate. I had 2 roommates. There was a basement suite in the bottom. Other people were paying my bills. Not only that, I was actually cash flowing while my utilities were paid. And I had a little bit extra money. So I didn't grow up rich. My family at best was lower middle class. My parents are beautiful people, humble people. We were grain buyer, and we grew up in a town of 300 people, if you can imagine that, in Saskatchewan. But back in those days, I could afford a brand new car. Everybody thought I was some spoiled little rich kid, but really I just had invested in real estate at a young age. So that truly is what got me hooked back at the young age of 20 years old. Now, back to our Mexico life, Aaron and I kept repeating. We liked Mazatlan, so we made a pact. We wanted to keep going back to different places in Mexico, different coastal places. So we explored the East Coast and the West Coast of Mexico, 15 years of visiting different beach towns. We learned about Mexico, its diversity, and of course, having a great time. We had no idea we were doing research for our future Mexican life. So there's just an example or a map of all the different places we went. Can't say I've been absolutely everywhere in coastal Mexico, but almost. We went to a lot of places. Back in Canada, we were developing a real estate portfolio. I was hooked on real estate. So we moved to Calgary, Alberta. I started up my plumbing company. We bought and sold real estate. We bought and renovated most of the stuff we wanted to buy and keep. I didn't have a lot of trust for the government back then and still don't. But I didn't think I'd have a pension being an entrepreneur. So I thought I need to have at least 20 properties owned and hopefully paid off by the time I retired so we could actually retire. So we'd actually could live off the rental income or maybe sell them off to have money so we could, at least enjoy some sort of retirement. So a lot of that was built off sweat equity. Again, I wasn't a wealthy kid growing up. So I was a plumbing contractor. I did the plumbing in houses, did the gas fitting. I even did some woodwork, as you can see in the top house. That was in Northern Calgary. And then we got into, buying bigger homes, selling them off. So really enjoyed real estate in Canada. But then all of a sudden, everything changed. We really realized we fell in love with Mexico. And much like most of you, I think we fell in love with Mexico because of the miles of beautiful beaches, the hot and sunny climate. As you start to spend more time there, you start to realize there's a lower cost of living. The people are amazing, very warm, hospitable people. I can't really say enough about the Mexican people. And of course, it's a short flight from Canada and the US. So at that point, we had to kind of change our plans. We had to really look down, and all of a sudden, everything changed for us. What we were trying to build in Canada, it was all about Mexico from now. So we ended up investing and moving to a place called Huatulco. So you might ask, why, Brent, do you travel to all these different places in Mexico? Why did you choose Huatulco? Well, we found it to be very beautiful. Huatulco is known for its 9 bays and 36 beautiful beaches. You must be a heat lover to be there. It has a very consistent, hot and sunny climate. Many beaches are untouched because of the national park. I also love the vibe. I grew up in a town of 300 people in Saskatchewan, so I liked that it was a smaller place. It was a very laid-back and also authentic Mexican-feeling place, which meant a lot to us. We weren't going out spending $10 American for a beer in a bar or something like that. Prices were still very low. As we researched more, we started to realize it's an award-winning environmental area, which was really special. The federal government and state government were investing billions of dollars into infrastructure. Something else really cool is that it had a low-density master plan, world-class infrastructure and a low-density master plan. And the price of real estate was still really low. So just to touch on these in a little more detail, as far as the climate goes, it's known as a subtropical destination. There's literally 340 days of sun. The average daily temperature is about 28 degrees. Well, we're all Canadian, 28 degrees, I can say that. Basically, it's about 30 degrees every day in the daytime. And there's a dry season. It doesn't rain the entire winter. And then it does rain sometimes between June and October. Also a low-risk hurricane zone. So for us, I'm a heat lover. Erin was not quite as much, but she still enjoys it. And we really, really love the climate there. The beaches, as I mentioned, 9 bays and 36 beautiful beaches. I absolutely fell in love with the contrast of the Sierra Madre del Sur mountains coming down into the ocean, and then all of these bays and sandy beaches. The contrast is beautiful. Great for diving, swimming, snorkeling, paddleboarding, and lots of different beaches to explore. Just quickly, this is Santa Cruz, one of the developed beaches. Choway, 2 minutes away from Santa Cruz next door. These are all developing areas. This is just inland, but also only about 2 minutes away, La Crucecita. So basically, Huatulco is a region. But here's a lot of the environmental stewardship and awards they won. I won't read those off and bore you. There is a national park. 2/3 of the region is green spaces and national park. There's a blue flag certification, which in essence is a Clean Beach Award. What really hit home to me is they do not dump raw sewage into the ocean. And not only do they not dump raw sewage into the ocean, they treat it and reuse it to water the golf course and other green spaces. So hearing things like that really hit home for me. There's filtered drinking water is one of few places you can drink the water right out of the tap and not get sick. The area now is known as EarthCheck Platinum certification. There's recycle programs. Also had an award called the Green Globe Award, which was only one of 3 in the area. Now, here's the whole master plan of Huatulco. Huatulco was started by a an arm of the federal government called Fonatur. Basically, Fonatur created economic development in areas of Mexico, and I wanted to do that. They created other areas such as Cancun, Cabo San Lucas, Ixtapa, Laredo, and then their focus became on Huatulco. So when they first started, it actually kind of failed, and they went back to the drawing board and recreated it to be low density. And what I mean by low density, it means a few things. Number one, the area is a region. So there's a national park and green spaces. So it's low density over the space of the area, but also low density in the fact they only allow people to build 3 or 4 stories high along the coastline. So you don't have all these big skyscrapers. So we thought low density tourism was very refreshing. They've invested billions of infrastructure into the roadways, marinas, airport. They've been expanding the airport. There's now a super highway that actually just completed this year that's done, which is bringing in wealthy Mexicans from the central part of Mexico. And it's created a lot of speculation with people investing along the coast because of the new conductivity via the highway. So that was just a little crash course on Huatulco. A lot of people ask me, how did you do it, Brent? How did you and Aaron really move down there? Well, I'm going to tell you that we had a lot of uncertainty. We didn't have every box checked off when we went down there, but it all started in the fact that I pitched my wife, and she looked at me and finally nodded and said yes. So once we finally committed and said yes, we are ready to make that move, other things started to fall in line. We took one trip into Huatulco. It grabbed our hearts. We knew it was the right place for us. We literally bought a property that trip, and we moved there 8 months later. We started a business right after that and moved there 8 months later. So it really starts with you making that commitment. Work life in Mexico started out doing this kind of stuff, promoting it. We started promoting way back in 2010, and then we moved full time in 2011. And the 2 brands I already spoke of, Mexico Living and Bayside Real Estate, emerged. And really, we were living the good life. I think we just had celebrated our 10-year anniversary around then. We're eating fresh fruit every morning, organic fruit. Erin, especially me as well, living in Calgary, she used to have a 50-minute commute to work every day. That's 50. Living where you guys live, I think you guys know what I'm talking about there. Long commutes. Now we've started working off our laptops, and we had a 30-second commute to our dining room table where we started working in the morning. Today, I have about a 5-minute commute from my condo to the office. So cut that stuff out of the way. We walked the beach daily. We soaked up the warm weather, never shoveled snow, never had to clean my window with a CD case anymore because I didn't have my snow brush. So we were really living the good life. But it wasn't always easy. There was lots of challenges we faced. We had to learn new surroundings, navigating a new language. I'll say this was the toughest one. We were working very hard, very successful in Calgary, Alberta. But somehow we got sucked into this keeping up with the Joneses lifestyle. I thought I was smarter than that. My older brothers coached me on not getting caught up with that. But we were working our butts off. We looked happy from the outside. We looked successful from the outside, but we had lots of bills. I woke up one day and thought to myself, I've made myself a slave to my own life. What the heck am I doing here in Calgary? So Mexico was a huge change in perspective for me. It really made me step back and analyze life. But financially, we were living in a place where we weren't making the kind of money we used to be. So we really had to juggle things and cut back. And it took about 3 years for us to cut back our payments and our life that we were living to get back into our new life. So we started growing our business, and eventually we persevered and we achieved success. So after about 6 years of working and living in Huatulco, Mexico, I started to travel around Mexico more, and it reminded myself of the diversity of this big, beautiful country. Not everywhere's like where we're living in Oaxaca. We experienced more beauty. I saw more opportunity. And as I saw that diversity, well, what did I learn? Basically, I saw not just Huatulco had investment potential. Mexico is really making big money moves right now. And although for us, Huatulco was the right place, I started seeing some people would come down like, Brent, it's just a little too hot for us. We want something that's a little more temperate. Or Brent, we appreciate that you like that it's a laid back vibe, but we want a little more action. We want more stuff to do. So it got me to thinking that there's different lifestyles out there in Mexico, also coupled with incredible opportunity. So this is where I started changing my perspective. And I'm going to say, what do I look for before investing into Mexico in different areas? I look for diverse lifestyle investments. I look for the federal and state governments investing into the area. I see for plans for new highways, new conductivity. Airport expansions are huge. When you see all this infrastructure development happening, plans for new development, actually master plan development is important, and plans for safety and security. These are the things I look for before I invest my own money, my own time into these different areas. So if you're asking yourself today, why should I invest in Mexico? It's because there is a ton of money going into Mexico right now. Mexico is making big money moves. There's more international money coming to Mexico than ever before. Right now, nearshoring is taking over in Mexico, supplying the U.S., supplying Canada. They're taking over from China right now. Mexico is set to be one of the top 5 economies in the next 5 years. Years ago, I learned of this. There is basically a master plan in Mexico of mega projects that are connecting them to the global economy. In 2013, through my real estate association, I went out to Salina Cruz, which is about an hour and a half to 2 hours from Huatulco. We were invited. The president at the time was there, Pena. He announced these special economic zones. Oaxaca state itself is one of the poorest states in Mexico, and the government's always trying to create economic development. So they announced special economic zones. Years later, now I'm actually seeing it all happen. The interoceanic corridor is in place. It's connecting the Pacific Ocean and the Atlantic Ocean. So basically, it's going to replace the Panama Canal in a lot of ways for trading. A rail car system connecting the two oceans, a pipeline connecting to the oceans. They're saying, Brent, why are you telling me about all this? I'm telling you about this because it's showing that there's so much stability happening in Mexico right now. I know you're like, I just want to buy a vacation property and live the good life. I just want to retire and live the good life. But this is what's going to make sure that you have made the right investment, and more people are going to be making the right investment because more and more people are moving there now for jobs and opportunity. They're expanding the ports in both Mazatlan, Salina Cruz, Veracruz, and Progreso. So I started to expand my focus a little bit because if you're a person, we basically, I'll just say, have 3 types of buyers. We have a vacation property buyer, and that vacation property buyer might buy a property so they can use it for a few years. Some of them want to rent their property, some of them don't. Then we have the retiree. Well, the retiree wants to know a lot about the lifestyle, about the healthcare, and they might move down full time, or they might move down for 6 months a year. And then we have the investor. The investor, well, they just want to hear the numbers. How much am I going to make for appreciation? How much am I going to make on rental revenue? No matter what type of buyer you are, I think it's important you all know that you're making a good investment. Maybe that's an investment even as a retiree you'll sell later. Maybe that's an investment that you're proud to pass on to your children once you pass away. But it's important to know you're making a good investment. And that's where I started switching my focus a little more and showing how great of an investment Mexico is. You can buy and get appreciation on your investment, buy that asset. You can buy and get great rental returns, get a great return on investment, and all well you're improving your own quality of life, whether you're enjoying the good life on a vacation or you're truly improving your quality of life by moving and living there. So that's where I strategically picked these 4 top emerging markets in Mexico. Now, all of these areas have one thing in common. You can buy an asset and get appreciation. You're going to get an increase in value in these areas. You're going to get rental returns if you choose to rent, and you're also going to enjoy that good life in Mexico. But also the reason why I picked these areas is because they're all a little bit different. Now, Puerto Escondido, it's only 90 minutes up from Huatulco. Much similar climate, but it's a very different vibe. It's a much more vibrant area. Some people call it a little bit of a party town. It's a surf community, some of the best surfing in the world. There's lots of great architecture happening in Puerto Escondido, and I would compare it almost to Puerto Vallarta in a way that's growing organically. So great investments happening in Puerto Escondido, great lifestyle. Mazatlan's been around for a little bit longer, but the real estate prices have stayed a little bit lower. It's a little bit cooler for someone that doesn't want the heat of Huatulco. It's a little bit more temperate, so you don't have all the heat. And it's actually a beach city. It's a beach city right on the water, so there's more stuff to do, more what I call community amenities. And then similar like Mérida and the beach communities just north of Mérida. Mérida is an unbelievable, beautiful city. It's been awarded like one of the safest cities in the world, extremely clean, and they got all these beach communities next to it. So, but it's also a place where you can find more community amenities, which is a little bit different than Huatulco. So we already went through Huatulco a little bit, so I'm not going to read that slide over. But why is it smart to invest your money there? Well, they have a major international airport expansion due to the low-density master plan. Basically, that low-density master plan means there's less inventory, which helps the price of properties increase more, and the demand increases. Low supply, high demand. So you make a very smart investment investing in Huatulco. There's a super highway. Now, they've been talking about this super highway for almost 20 years. In some ways, it became a little bit of a joke, but I'm proud to say it's actually completed now. So again, you have many people speculating, wealthy Mexican nationals investing so they can now come down and use their beach home on the weekends. There's very high quality, world-class infrastructure in Huatulco, lots of new developments, and we have prices starting in around $100,000 and up. There's where you can see Huatulco, right down in the very south of Mexico. A few examples, being brokers, we have basically the buffet of properties, and that's one of the things I love so much, is I'm not trying to sell you on any one particular thing. We like to learn about you. We like to learn about your lifestyle, your real estate goals, and then we find the best property that suits your needs. This is an entry-level condo around $150,000, 2 bedrooms, 1 bath. You can still walk to the beach from it. It's got some tennis courts, a pool. It's right in La Crucecita, Huatulco. Here's Meridian. This is a new pre-construction project we have. We're already 50% sold out. It's building right now in about gray stage. You can get into it for about $317,000. I like to say it's got the best of both worlds. It has really amazing amenities on the rooftop, 2 infinity pools, gym, yoga spa area, and so on and so on. But it's also very walkable. It's like living in downtown Toronto. You can walk to many different restaurants, pubs, shops, and that sort of thing. It's not like living in downtown Toronto. Don't kid yourself. But point being, you can walk to the beach and you can walk to many different things you want to get to. Here's a single-family home. This is a new little development. It's, I think we have 12 units in there. 11 of them already sold. We only have 1 unit available. really massive places. I think we're about 3,700 square feet in these places there. This is in a more of a resort style development. Cosmo Residences, 649,000. Great rental revenue. There's a direct beach access to a swimmable beach, restaurant on site, gyms, multiple pools there. And here's a very luxury villa with ocean views in the community at Arecibo, Huatulco. So a 3-bedroom at about $850. But point being, we have a very wide range of real estate and a very wide range of real estate prices. Puerto Escondido. Now, Puerto Escondido has a much similar climate as Huatulco. It's only 90 minutes up the highway. Very consistent, hot, sunny climate. There's also a very laid-back vibe in Puerto Escondido, very much Mexican lifestyle. It has a combination of surf beaches and swimmable beaches. Ecotourism is very rampant. If you want to go out and see the turtles, if you want to go out into freshwater lagoons, you can. I would say very much Puerto Escondido as a chef-driven culinary scene. The culture there, the vibe there is young. Some people might look at that as a bit of a party town. That doesn't mean the whole town is a party town. You can find quieter areas. If you want to go into, feel the vibrancy, you can. If you want to stay in a more peaceful area, you can. Very young, vibrant culture. Time Magazine and Condé Nast Travel have both named it as a rising design destination. So you have a lot of very young architects coming in there doing some really cool designs and buildings. And you still have very low oceanfront real estate value, making it a great place to invest in. Just like Huatulco, it's on the Oaxaca coast, so it's also benefiting from that new super highway coming in. The Puerto Escondido Airport, it's kind of ironic. They already deemed it as an international airport, although they just didn't have any international flights. Well, right now they just started an international expansion, a major expansion on the international airport. I got to get my drone up there when we get back because they're doing major work on this airport, expanding it. So soon they're going to get in new direct flights. New flights will be announced all over Canada and the U.S. New hospital announcement has recently happened. Another hospital I know has expanded recently. And as I already mentioned, Time Magazine named it a rising design destination. Travel and Leisure Magazine named it one of the top 100 places in the world to visit in 2021. Lots of new development. And something else about Porto, a lot of the stuff is older, not quite as appealing. And anything I see in the town of Porto that's new and done, it's rented like crazy. We have occupancy rates of over 80%, high demand. So if you're a person looking for an investment with rental revenue, Puerto Escondido is a great option. And you can see where Porto is, right down again on the South Oaxaca coast, so near Huatulco. So right now, the easiest way for you guys to fly into either of those destinations. Actually, you guys are very spoiled here in Toronto with your flight access. You can fly directly into Huatulco International Airport with WestJet, with Air Canada, and we'll also Sunwing. I believe WestJet just bought Sunwing, but I think they're still operating independently, so Sunwing Airlines as well. So you have 3 different airlines flying in there, multiple flights per week. In Puerto Escondido, here's one development we have. This is a new pre-construction. It's in an area called the Rinconada, which is kind of a more upscale area of Porto. It's not a major party place, although I call it a party town. This is more the quiet area of Puerto Escondido. It does have ocean views. Each unit has its own private plunge pool. The rooftop has another pool and some other amenities, ocean views from the rooftop, but it's also very walkable to all the community amenities in the Rinconada. Villas Marinero, now this is a very unique and rare beachfront development in Puerto Escondido. Phase 1 and 2, we already have 40% sold out. These prices are incredible to get into a beachfront community, starting at about $315,000, upwards a little over $400,000 for some of the 3-bedroom penthouses. You have beachfront access, And this is right in the central area of town. So sometimes you really have to, pick one or the other. Do I want a resort development? If so, often you're far out from community amenities. Here you have a resort development on the beach. You can walk down Zicatella, which is one of the main beach areas with lots of shops and restaurants right at your fingertips. So great option. This is called Punta Mar Residential for someone that wants even more quietness, wants more privacy. You can buy a single family home down there with your own private plunge pool, with your own gated community, and a 5-minute drive to community amenities and so on. So we're starting there in the low 300s. This is a move-in ready property, oceanfront, ocean view condo. It's a 2-bedroom, just starting a little over $400,000. It's at a development called La Escondida that we sold out a while back. Private plunge pool on your terrace. The development also has a couple more pools. And from here, you have good walkability to multiple beaches, different restaurants, and so on. Here's something that's a little bit out of Puerto Escondido, but it is a beachfront villa for just under $1 million. To get a beachfront villa for $1 million is really, quite honestly, quite rare. And you can do it here outside of Puerto Escondido on a very beautiful beach. Next, we're going to move into Yucatan. So a lot of you probably heard of Yucatan because you've heard of Cancun, because you heard of Playa del Carmen, and maybe even Tulum. So here we're focusing on an area in the Yucatan that is an emerging market that not a lot of people have heard of. Kind of like Mazatlan in the winter, it's not quite as hot. You can find temperatures in the low 20s up to the high 20s, so it's not quite as hot in Huatulco. I will warn you, it's hotter in the summertime though. It's definitely a lesser part known of the area. It's really known for its beaches and the Yucatan coast. It's Mayan ruins. Merida itself is a very vibrant city. It's been named as one of the safest cities in the world, safest cities in North America multiple times. Merida is about 20 minutes from the beach, so it's got incredible health care in Merida. It's got a lot of great history. It's known as a little bit more of an affordable area than a lot of areas in Mexico, and I'll show you a few examples of that. Whether you've heard of this or not, but the beach area, there's an area called Chicxulub, Progreso and Chicxulub. The asteroid hit the Earth years ago, so it completely changed the dynamic and the ecosystem. It killed off all the dinosaurs, but it left this really, really incredible flat plate. So you can walk out from the beach for miles and it doesn't get deep. And when you're there, if it's not windy, the ocean calms out to this really flatness. It's almost like a lake. So I kind of coined it calling the ocean lake phenomenon, because on calm days, you actually see people water skiing along the beach lines. So very flat and shallow water. There's also cenotes and lagoons, freshwater lagoons behind. And at a certain time of year, these lagoons turn to a pink water. It's pretty cool. As I mentioned with Merida, the state is also considered one of the safest states in Mexico. And to this day, there is still low oceanfront real estate prices. So it's a very much an emerging market and up and coming area. Why would you invest in Yucatan? Just like the other areas, it's got an international airport that's going through an expansion. Very high quality healthcare in Merida. Both Mazatlan and Merida probably have the best healthcare out of these areas. Progreso is a cruise ship port, bringing in lots of goods. The government has invested over $250 million US dollars of infrastructure into the area to help improve the area. And in 2021, they recorded a record amount of visitors at 3.2 million. There's new development happening. You can get in around the mid 150,000s, and that's where Merida and the Yucatan coast is. So for those who don't know, that whole peninsula is considered to be the Yucatan Peninsula. There's 3 states there, and we're talking about the top Yucatan state. Some properties that you can find in Yucatan. These are little townhouse style condos. You can get in about 185. Well, pardon me, this doesn't have ocean view. There's an error there. Scratch that. But you're only a couple blocks from the ocean here. You can have your own private plunge pool in your backyard. So great entry-level price to get in for your own little house. Olimar Essence, we're about 30% sold there. Great pricing for condominiums that are just a couple blocks from the beach. You do have ocean views from this property, getting in around the low 200,000s. We got some great amenities in this development. Here, this is a ready-built, move-in ready single-family home in the mid-200s. And again, not too far from the beach. So again, a good variety of properties. Sandre condos. These are very large, luxurious beachfront condos starting in the high 500s on the Yucatan coast. Next, we'll move to Mazatlan. So this is our last top emerging market. And as I said before, we felt some nostalgia and some romantic nostalgia, I guess, Aaron and I, being this is the first place we visited back in 1995. So it's pretty special moving back and doing business there. I took a lot of time researching this area. Much like Merida area in the wintertime, it's not quite as hot as Huatulco. It's ranges in about from 22 to 28 degrees Celsius. There's over 32 kilometers of beaches along Mazatlan, and I absolutely love the Malecon. It's a 21-kilometer beach boardwalk. So you have people hanging out on the Malecon, sitting on the benches, walking along it. There's a specific path for bikers and rollerbladers. So a real health and wellness vibe in the area. They actually have pathways all over Mazatlan so you can get around by bike and rollerblade. The downtown area, they've done a lot to kind of retrofit it. They have lights shining up on all the old colonial-style buildings. It's got a very vibrant downtown, colonial architecture, and really a nice European vibe. So you get a very high standard of living there. And as I mentioned before, it's a beach city. There's about 500,000 people that live in Mazatlan. So if you're looking for a place that has more community amenities, more stuff to do, Mazatlan's a great option. They have a state-of-the-art baseball stadium, state-of-the-art soccer stadium. When I go there, I often catch a professional baseball game. They have a historic theater downtown if you want to go out to a play or catch a show. So lots of great stuff to do. I like to comment on Mazatlan that it truly is a city in transformation. It's turning into a more cosmopolitan destination. Pathways from downtown all the way up into the marina area is also another upscale area. Great flight access in Mazatlan. Right now, again, from Toronto, you can fly there direct, or at least in the wintertime. I shouldn't have said right now, during the season when most of us want to be down there. We also find it to have a very large expat community. Lots of people speaking English there in Mazatlan. So why should you invest in Mazatlan? Mazatlan is really dominating the investment scene right now in Mexico. There's both domestic, foreign investment going in, as well as federal and state government investment. The commercial port brings in lots of goods. There's also a cruise ship port there. There's an international airport, and they're actually building a new cargo airport. They're planning a whole second port north of Mazatlan right now, where they're going to develop also more housing around it. Right now, they're finishing off a Central Park, which has a lagoon, brand new aquarium, brand new IMAX theater, and I think it's about 8,000 meters of pathways, again, for walking, biking, rollerblading. They're also developing out of the port conductivity. I had no idea until I started researching it. They bring goods in there and supplying not only to the north of Mexico, but all the way through the U.S. right up to Winnipeg, Canada. So it's a really important port center. Really good healthcare in Mazatlan, great hospitals, and of course, still very low oceanfront real estate prices. There you can see we're Mazatlan, a little further north, so that's where you can get in to not so hot, not as hot as Huatulco in the winter times. Temperatures in around 22 to 28 degrees. Turquoise condos, here we're about 35% sold. Great pricing, starting in the mid 100s up to the high 100s. Some nice amenities. You're a little bit off the beach there. Blue Life condos were over 50% sold here. Again, great pricing starting in around the mid 100s up to the mid 200s. You do get some ocean views, some really nice rooftop amenities here, such as a fully equipped gym. So might be a great option for you in Mazatlan. Villa Vicario, this is something a little bit different. This is right in the historic zone of Mazatlan. It's very colonial, very kind of romantic feeling downtown. So that was a historic building that got restored and turned into condos. So something very, very cool, over 35% sold there. Littoral condos got a great starting price here in the mid 200s and all the way up to about 700,000. So beautiful ocean views. This is very near the Malecon, so you can get out and get your exercise in the morning going down the Malecon. Great amenities, swimming pool, gym, yoga, rooftop terraces. So another great option in Mazatlan. I really love this location, Iowa Residences. This is actually built on an island right by a golf course in Mazatlan, so you have water all around you. You can get up and go out kayaking and paddleboarding in very calm waters. They're developing a beautiful clubhouse there. The actual golf course is building a brand new state-of-the-art clubhouse for the golf course right next to this. Spa and wellness center in the development, and many nice resort-style amenities. So those are our 4 top emerging markets. Again, I'll just state these are markets where I know yourselves as investors, whatever level of investor you are, you can get in and buy very smart and buy an appreciating asset that whether you sell it on later, pass it on to loved ones, you know you've done well in these areas, but not without sacrificing the good life in a beautiful Mexican paradise. So I want to let you know in all of these areas, we have what we call a real estate stay and play, which is basically a discovery trip. What I've done is packaged up, kind of a crash course for you to help you learn about that area. We've subsidized the vacation accommodation. Some of them have things like cooking classes. Some of them have a yacht tour so you can cruise the coastline and see what it's like, not only looking at real estate from land, but also see it from the coastline. They all have a city tour. They all have a grocery shop, like a local tour. So it's basically a crash course. Our insider tips, our favorite restaurants, our favorite beaches. They have different levels of food and restaurants included. But basically, it helps you get the insider tips, things that you might not learn if you live there for months, sometimes years of visiting. We help you get that insider scoop to these areas. And that's really what helps you feel comfortable in the area and allows you to make an informed decision whether Huatulco is right for you, whether Puerto Escondido is right for you, whether Mazatlan's right for you, or Merida or Yucatan. So thank you so much for coming out and joining me and my team today. Before I sign off, I'll just introduce everyone. Erin's in the back there. Many of you have met her before. Stand up, Erin, and wave, please. Yeah. That's my very beautiful and supportive wife, and thank you so much over time. Next to here is Janessa. Janessa's our marketing manager, and has helped out a lot over the years. And over here is Fabiola, the fabulous Fabiola Limon. Fabiola lives in Mazatlan, so the rest of us are out of Huatulco. So